Hi everybody. I just thought I'd talk today about something called the gospel or the God spell, right? So it's called gospel, but it comes from God's spell, right? Now, here's the funny thing about it. Now, you will know that we have got the books of the Bible, okay? Which I'm going to say at the moment. We've got Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. And then after that, you have the New Testament, okay, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, Timothy, 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, Peter, that's 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, Jude, and Revelation. So these are all the books of the Bible. Okay, but what you might not know of is that there's also a book called the Apocrypha. And that's full of other books that should have been in the Bible, but were taken out. Now, I don't know if anybody has heard of the Council of Nicaea, but that's when, they decided what books were going to be in the Bible and what books weren't going to be in the Bible. And that happened in May 325 AD, May 325 AD. So the Council of Nicaea decided to take out some books from the Bible, right? And those books were called the Apocrypha, which I can tell you now what the Apocrypha is, the apocryphal books. Right, so there are Ecclesiasticus, Wisdom, 1 Maccabees, 2 Maccabees, Tobit, Bel and the Dragon, Judith, Esther, Baruch, and there's also the Prayer of Manasseh, the Song of the Three Holy Children, the History of Susanna, Esdras, First Esdras, Second Esdras, giving money to atone for sins, was part of what that was about, and praying for the dead and giving money to atone for their sins and things like that. The Apocrypha was about these kinds of things. There was Tobit, Judith, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach, Baruch, and a lot of things that are just not accepted in the Bible at all. And the funny thing about this, being a God spell or gospel, any magical practitioner knows, and any Christian knows, that the gospel should not be added to or taken away from. And the trouble with the Council of Nicaea is when it comes to the Bible, they took away books from it and they added things. Yeah, so the gospel or Godspell isn't really going to work. All right, it's not going to work the way it should because things are missing. Because here's the thing, when they translated the Bible, right, from ancient Hebrew to English and other languages, it wasn't the same, right? It wasn't the same as, because Jewish and Hebrew language is a very, very different, it's a different way of speaking, it's a different way of thinking. So they translated it the best they could into our language, English or French or whatever, or Spanish or whatever it was. But they had to add things to that in order to make it have seem like it's got more sense. So they added to their gospel and they took away from the gospel. Godspell, right? What is the point of the Godspell? the point of the God spell is to bring God into your life in some way. Yeah. God is obviously something that a lot of people have very different views on. My personal view on God is this, right? All the different gods and interpretations, right, are ways to understand a higher being, right? They're ways to understand your creator, they're ways to understand the cosmic, although they're not the cosmic itself, right? There are ways that we can interface with it, and there are so many different religions and belief systems out there because people interpret God differently, right? There must be as many different interpretations of God as there are people, you know. The God spell or gospel was to bring that God to life within you, you know. They say the kingdom of heaven is within you, and it is. But to bring that God to life within you, right? The God spell, with all its rituals, with all its situations, with all its things, with all its nuances, right? Said in the right language, in the right way, is supposed to awaken a God. It's supposed to make you understand the truth of who you really are. You know, that doesn't mean to say that that people should be thinking they're gods, because I'm going to say this: there are people who think I am a god, and then they'll say that I am a god, and you know, and they'll think that they need to be worshipped and weird things like that, you know. But the truth about it is, if there was a God that was awake within you, the last thing that God would be doing is wanting to be worshipped. And you know, it's such a strange misunderstanding, because yes, you have the potential within you to interface with God, to channel that energy. And that's what the God spell is about, is to bring your mind to that realization, to that point where you can do that, right? But human beings are flawed, you know. If you open your third eye too early, you know what's going to happen? You're going to go slightly berserk. No, more than that, you're going to go absolutely mad, all right? You've got to let go of your ego. You've got to let go of yourself. You've got to surrender to the universe. And until you surrender to the universe and let it flow through you, you know, you're not gonna see it the way it's supposed to be. You know, you'll be thinking these things are all about the self, and they're not about the self. They're about the universe, which you are a part of, you know. And to understand who you are and what you're a part of, that's what the gospel was about. Yeah. So that you could go through all the things that they went through, all the things that people went through, right? You could go through the whole thing and eventually come to the conclusion that you're supposed to come to. Now, because they removed some of the magic, so they removed the books, the Apocrypha, they removed them, and they added things to it, and they gave you a dumbed down understanding of what the Bible is, and made it a religious book. Right? It was never a religious book, but it is now. You know, it all depends with what approach you take to the Bible. If you're just going to sit and listen to the priest talk, remember the priest knows a damn sight more than you. He's going to tell you what he's told to tell you, right? He's not going to be able to tell you what it's really about, you know, unless he includes all the books of the Apocrypha, unless he includes maybe some teaching in Hebrew, you know, about what Hebrew is about, unless he includes some teaching of Kabbalah, yeah? You're not going to get the God spell, all right? So we as human beings, if we want to know what this is, and I want to know what this is, I want to know what the whole thing is, right? We need to have an untranslated Jewish version of all all the books of the Bible, which in turn itself was translated from previous languages as well, which, you know, goes right back to old Semitic languages, Mesopotamian languages, if we could get really back there, but Jewish is pretty damn close. Hebrew, yeah, you get back to there, right? And if we could just read it. Now, you're thinking you won't understand it because it's not in English, or you won't understand it because it's not in French. No, you won't. But it's a spell. And if you were to read that, then you would get the magic from it, right? You would get the magic. You wouldn't understand a bloody word, but you'd understand it on a spiritual level, right? So that's what I want to try and do. I'm going to get hold of the Zohar at some point and see if I can do that. But it's magic, right? And it's a spell cast, and you know they tell you in Christianity and everything else that the magic isn't real or doesn't work, and yet they are performing magic on you all the time. Okay, so you have to really think. You know, it's possible to be a Christian and do all this because it doesn't go against Christianity, right? But it's also kind of contradictory because they're telling you, you know, about casting spells is wrong, etc., and yet they're casting a spell. So, but you know, there's nothing wrong with Christianity. I think Christianity is a great thing, and I think paganism is a great thing, and I think all the belief systems are brilliant. And but they want you to go with their way, you know. They want you to do their thing. So it's up to you what you decide to do in your life, and nobody's going to judge you for that at all, right? But I just wanted to point out that the gospel, right, is a God spell, right? So I shall leave that with you guys for now. We'll talk later. Bye bye.